Good afternoon. This is Meredith. Who joined?
Amanda Wade.
Hey, Amanda. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. We have a smaller group than this morning so far, but we might have others join us here in a few minutes. We had a pretty good registration list. So this call, we are focusing part 2 in a 2-part series, just really to hear from you all on what you would find valuable in an in-person conference. So I want to do some facilitated conversation and brainstorming around that, which is really a continuation from what we did back in October together. This is Meredith with Telegen. Telegen is the Quality Innovation Network Quality Improvement Organization here in Colorado. We're contracted with the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And what brings me to this call and my partnership with INCA is under a contract with Medicare, they really want us to be boots on the ground resource within our state for increasing access and utilization to diabetes self-management education, whatever form that may take on. So that is what has brought me to working very closely with INCA.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Inka Duku, and I work here at the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment and the Diabetes and Cardiovascular Unit. And we have a CDC grant to support diabetes self-management education support programs in Colorado to help you all increase participation into the program. And this is one example that Meredith and I co-host a monthly sharing call for you all. Because of the low prevalence of diabetes education amongst Coloradans affected by diabetes, the primary purpose of these sharing calls is really to partner with you all and to offer an opportunity for you all to engage with each other to share success stories, identify tools that may be helpful in increasing DSMS utilization. So an example for our call today is really getting input from you on topics that will support your DSMS program. So just a couple of housekeeping rules before to keep yourself on mute using the *6 feature or unmute yourself using the same *6. Please don't place your lines on hold because some lines will have hold music. When stating your name, please, when speaking, please state your name. We really encourage in-depth sharing, so step up or step back. If chat is a feature that you're more comfortable with, on your right-hand side, there's a chat feature, so just type in questions or comments. And these calls are recorded, and then I will send out the recording link with notes a few weeks after today.
All right. So far, we know we have Tara, Amanda, and Samantha on the line. If you're joining us by WebEx, you can pop your arrow on the map if you left-click on the arrow. And actually, before you do that, you have to click on the annotation, the little squiggly line, which will come up if you hover on the left side of your screen. And then left-click on the arrow, which will give you a pointer, and then you can drag that over to the map and drop it over where you're at. Do we have anyone else that hasn't yet announced themselves on the call with us? Okay. Very good. And Amanda, where are you joining from?
I am in Alabama.
Oh, very good. Awesome.
So as both Meredith and I mentioned, for the October call, we spent the time compiling a list of topics for the spring 2019 Diabetes and Cardiovascular Conference. And today, we really just wanted to take those topics and start to narrow them down to 4 or 5 topics and come up with potential speakers, really, what do you want to learn from those topics? You know, they're pretty broad, and so what information are you learning from those topics, like knowledge-based or skill? And then kind of tangible things that you can walk away from the conference, whether it be like toolkits or templates, things like that. So that's what we're going to spend our time talking about today. So we always like to engage the group in a polling question. It's unrelated to the topic conversation, but related to more the conference. Thinking about what method do you prefer to stay connected with your DSMS peers throughout the state? Outside of these calls, potentially starting a closed group on social media website like Facebook or Facebook, maybe access to a listserv, in-person networking events, conferences, webinars, or other. And if you select other, then I'll just have you verbally say out loud what other ways can you stay connected. So on the right-hand side of your screen, the question and the answers are populated. Just select one answer and be sure to hit submit. The poll will close in about 20 seconds.
And on my screen, I don't know how it looks for you all, but polling doesn't automatically show up. I have to expand on the right-hand side of the screen where it says polling. So if that applies to you, just left-click on that arrow, and that will open up the polling question.
So the poll closed in a few seconds, and some responses. We have conferences and webinars. Great. Thank you. And so we have a conference coming in the spring, and then we can think through ideas for webinars.
All right. So our first question that will help inform our conversation today, just curious on currently, how are you receiving your continuing education credits? So what resources, websites, events do you use to obtain your 15 continuing education credit requirements if you are a certified diabetes educator or any other licensing credentials that you might have that require CEUs?
Hi, this is Sam with our County Health Department. And probably the two main ways that myself and then colleagues obtain the CEUs are through conferences, local conferences put on sometimes by the American Association of Diabetes Educators or university, and then also through the American Diabetes Association website. They have a handful of online modules that you can kind of choose varying topics to walk through. But those would be the two main ways.
Excellent. Thank you, Samantha.
This is Amanda. We're pretty much the same. We do the AADE ones on their website, and we go through those modules. I myself am actually not a certified diabetes educator. I'm the supervisor of our department, and so the RN who does our supervision of that department and who's helping with diabetes referrals also just does her CEUs through AADE.
Very good. Thank you, Amanda. And I think I heard a beep. Is there someone that joined the call that hasn't yet announced themselves?
Yeah, this is Salam from CDPHE, the CTPD program.
Good afternoon. Okay, anything else to share for obtaining CE credits before we move on? All right.
So one of the reasons why we decided to ask that question before we dive into conference planning and the facilitated conversation today is I wanted you all to start to think about kind of where are you getting your CE credits now, and what kind of organizations, what topics they're providing, or offering, and thinking through how CDPHE and Telegin hosting the conference in spring providing topics that you normally wouldn't get in those other venues or those other avenues. Potentially, because also one of the resources through CDPHE and the CDP grant is that we're able to offer these, as of now, offering these credits for free. And so we really want to engage people in the state who are working with people with diabetes, topics to support their programs that they couldn't get through other, or, they couldn't attend other conferences. I know I've heard the National AADE conference is one, but that's expensive, that's costly. And so what are some things that we could bring to you all from a Colorado perspective? So what I did to help facilitate this call today was I took all of the topics that we came up with in October and looked at all the topics and decided to put them in areas. And so I just came up with these 5 topic areas, these larger topic areas: communication, technology, cardiovascular interventions, DS&ES program advancement, nutrition, and exercise. And took all the topics and just put them under these larger topic areas. And so I kind of all wanted to take a minute and look at these larger topic areas and then the specific topics and see if I guess I'm asking you all, did I do a good job in the first round? And if you find that one topic maybe doesn't really fit, or I can move a topic, we could do that at this moment. Or if I didn't capture something, so any thoughts? Be sure to take yourself off mute.
This is Sam with Tri-County. Are you asking any thoughts on the topics?
No, just I wanted to first add, I went ahead and decided where these specific topics and kind of created a broader under communication. Did I put do they seem all appropriate under communication?
Gotcha.
The topics under technology does not seem appropriate. I kind of wanted to give everyone a chance.
Yeah.
To read.
It was great to me.
So my next question, the next opportunity is I would like everyone to look at the list and come up with their top 3. And we'll just do a round robin, and you'll just say out loud kind of the top 3 that you're most interested in. So I don't know, Sam, if you want to go ahead first.
I would say, putting on my public health hat, I really like that develop public service announcement. I think that's one of the things that we have seen over the last, handful of years is, does the public know that there are these education opportunities, and then even more importantly, that they even need them? I think that, kind of stepping off of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, they've done a great job of the importance of getting your annual screening. How could diabetes kind of get that similar airtime, I guess you could say, or however you would want to say it? Because I think that we can have these opportunities, but then, helping the public understand the importance of the education. So yeah, that would probably be one of my top ones.
Any others?
Oh goodness.
I know that
they're all really good, to be honest with you. And I like the creative ideas for participant engagement. I think that is one that we struggle with a little bit.
Okay.
And then something that we're starting to dip our toes into is the telehealth piece.
Great.
But again, I don't think that, you could go wrong with any of these topics.
Yeah, I know they're all so good, but at least we only have so much time, so
Yeah, absolutely.
narrow them down. And like I said, these are ideas that I could share with RMADE and be like, hey, we've got a lot of input that people are wanting more on this. Like, is that something that you could do at your next fall conference? Or maybe we could do a webinar, So what are the things that, and when we get to the facilitated portion of today's call, maybe this will make more sense, like, are some really just more knowledge-based, and we could cover that as a webinar or on the next sharing call, whereas others maybe require, like, a speaker and something more tangible, a take-home item or toolkit. So, Amanda, how about you? Any ideas that have bubbled up from your organization and of interest that your staff needs more training on, or?
Yeah, I actually really agree with the creative ideas for participant engagement. We, here in Alamosa, we're in a really rural area, and unfortunately there's very big families, and there's, people who know everyone in town, so it's really common for people to get together and eat and really not really get support from their family members on their diabetes and really dealing with it. So just getting them engaged and really getting them here, I think, is our hardest thing. Like, your doctor wants you to come, please go to the education, and it's harder for us to get them here. So I feel like once we do get them here and get them engaged, just knowing how creatively we can really keep them engaged and make them come back for their second, third, or fourth session. So I really appreciate that one for sure. My second one is probably the models to partners with the audiology and the podiatrist departments. A foot exam and that kind of stuff is a big measurement that we're trying to get a goal in our organization. So that's a big thing that we're trying to push, is getting those foot exams so we can really report those numbers and get those better. So I think that getting ideas to how to really integrate with those departments and communicate better with them, I think, would be great. And then I'm also a huge fan of the multidisciplinary approach. I actually supervise the behavioral health department as well as the diabetes department, and I feel like if you're in a good place psychologically, you'll be in a good place with your overall health. So just really having that integrated model and really showing people that you can really go a long way if you have a bunch of teams working together. So I feel like that's great.
Can you provide any examples of how you're doing that at your health system?
Sure, yeah. So our providers, we're actually in a clinic to where we're integrated with primary care. So there are about 8 primary care providers, and we have behaviorists that are pretty much in the same hallway, and then our deep department is right outside our door. So our providers love going to our RNs and RDs and saying, hey, I have this patient in the room right now, and we really need your help with their insulin and all that good stuff. So we really work as a team right when they're in the room. So that's how we're pushing to do that. We'll do behavioral health screens on them and say, hey, your A1C is really high and all that good stuff. And I think with just a mental approach to it, you'll be better, and we'll go from there.
Great. I love it. So, moving on to the facilitated portion, I'm using the audiology as an example to kind of narrow down what it is that we want to learn from this topic. And so I was able to meet with an audiologist recently because she was interested in referrals from DSMES programs, as well as she referring to DSMES programs. And so there's this relationship between audiology and diabetes. And so an example would be, you know, if this audiologist would come to this conference, she could teach all the participants at the conference how to use an app to screen for hearing loss, for example. And so that would be like a skill that she could show everyone at another, how to use the app, and then how to refer to an audiologist. And so the speaker would be an audiologist. And then maybe the take-home is a very specific referral template from audiology to DSMES and from DSMES to audiology. Because one of the things that she had mentioned was knowing the nitty-gritty of like how to refer to DSMES. Like she doesn't know that. And so we could create a very specific template for that, for audiology in Colorado. So I wanted to walk through another example from our list that we chose in the previous slide. So do we have a preference? I think both of you agreed on creative ideas for participant engagement. So I want to try that one and walk through what that could look like at a conference.
Sure.
So what would that look like at the conference? Would you want to have a speaker just to talk about ideas, or would you like more hands-on learning experience of how to actually get participant engagement? Have you been to conferences where they've done this before, or listened to webinars? Or is this a very abstract topic that we would have to really narrow down what that would look like?
It's a really good question. It seems like that one might be an interesting one, like as a small table discussion almost, you know, to be able to brainstorm what's been successful for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then be able to take that and, you know, kind of bring that, like fully bring that out into a larger group depending on how many people are at that setting.
Yeah.
I would be struggling on the speaker, but I guess, I mean, obviously anybody who's been successful with this, who has a good retention rate, would be great as well. Or I guess maybe even thinking outside the box, you know, maybe somebody who has been successful with patient engagement that's maybe outside of diabetes education as well.
Yep. Yes, it's a very broad abstract topic, and we could think about it in so many different ways, which would lend itself to multiple topics. It could just be a whole topic on its own. But I love that idea about small table discussion and making it a little bit more interactive. So it's a really great idea. Thanks, Sam, for that one.
Yeah, I agree with this is Amanda. I agree with a small breakout group. I think just having people get together and then deciding on their favorite form or their favorite thing that has worked, and then bring it to the larger group, and you'll have 4 or 5 ideas and be like, oh, this person from this other group really has also had success with that. This is how they've had success, and then be able to go from there.
So the takeaway would be maybe more ideas. Ideas shared in maybe a way that Meredith and I, after the conference, could share that out to the group.
And I would say then even like any tools that people have utilized. Because I'm thinking of patient engagement, you know, like you had said originally that can be viewed a couple different ways. So if there's someone who's had, you know, a tool that they have utilized to set goals with a client, or to a tool that they've used to help organize how to do reminder calls. So I think any of those that could then be shared could also be a takeaway as well.
Great. This morning, the group talked a lot about, we spent a lot of time talking about marketing. That was the topic that we covered this morning. And retention rates. That was also brought up. How to get people to actually, you know, how to decrease no-show rates. And so it's kind of in line with creative ideas for participant engagement.
Absolutely.
Well,
another one that was mentioned Sorry, Inc., I was just going to add the one that was mentioned this morning a couple times was motivational interviewing. Do either of you have any thoughts on that?
You know, we utilize it, you know, very, very regularly. But I think refreshers are always great, you know, and that role playing as well, that could potentially be done in those small groups. I think for me personally, that's sometimes how I learn best is if I can see it, you know, in a webinar and they're acting it out, but if I have to actually play the educator while somebody else plays the client, it kind of helps me when I physically have to say the words. I know that sounds silly, but you know, kind of taking that motivational interviewing, maybe motivational interviewing 2.0 or 3.0, could be of benefit.
Yeah, good thought. Thank you for sharing.
Well, I'd love to go through each of our top 3 topics, but we always get limited on time. And so just looking at the time now, for the last few minutes, I just wanted to touch on our January call, which I'm super excited about. So third Wednesday, today was the exception just because we were mindful of the holidays. So just bumped it up a little bit earlier in the month, knowing that a lot of people take time off. But so third Wednesday of January 16th, and I just wanted to share with you all that CDC came out with a GSMES toolkit. It was actually an activity of mine to create a Colorado GSMES toolkit, but then when I learned about this fall, I was like, great, you just handed me a chunk of my work, which is really exciting because I think they did a really good job. It was a lot of the things I had in mind and a lot of the things that I had learned over the last couple of years from our sharing calls. So we will spend the time navigating the website for our next call and then generating ideas of like, what are some things that we can make Colorado specific to help you all. I will send out the link in the call notes, and so I'm not going to make you all wait to reveal the website. It's public, it's live, and so I will send out the link to you all if you want to peruse the website. And then, as always, just these are some of our resources available to you all. Keep in mind we have those technical assistance calls with Mary Ann Godowicz. I'm not sure, Amanda, if you're familiar with who she is, she's a national expert in DSMT, which is what we call DSMES for Medicare, DSMT. So we can talk to you more about that if that's of interest to you and if Sam has done it.
Oh yeah, we actually had a conference call with her already and talked about a lot of, she was great. We were having one of our diabetes educators, she actually quit not too long ago. She went to the conference a while back where she was speaking and brought back a whole binder. And so.
Okay, I'm connecting the dots now. Mimi Fox.
I'm sorry?
Mimi Fox? Who left?
I'm sorry?
Who left?
Oh, who left? Her name was Mimi Fox.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'm connecting the dots now.
Yes.
Awesome, okay. Well, I'm glad we had us to the call. Okay, great. So you are familiar. So just to wrap up the call today, we have a survey on the right-hand side. Please take a few minutes just to complete that short survey. It just allows us to know how we can host these calls better for you all. So that should populate on the right-hand side. And of course, anytime, Meredith and I are always available by phone, email, please reach out.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course. Bye-bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a great holiday to you all. Bye.